Hello, you guys. Hear ye, hear ye. You are hanging with Langan. I am Maureen Langan. Hanging with Langan, we bring you fun, heart, smart. By we, I mean me. I talk to people from academics to alcoholics, everyone in between, and try to give a nice blend of wit and wisdom here for you. St. Patrick's Day was last week, and I celebrated by interviewing a wonderful director of the film Shalom, Ireland, Valerie Lapin, and we talked about the history of the Orthodox Jews in Dublin. Hysterical, brilliant, fun, interesting, Hebrew Guinness. The whole thing was fascinating stuff. So I wanted to keep the theme alive, and I wanted to bring in a couple of my buddies today. Coming up on the show, Fiona Walsh, a good friend of mine. She's also a DJ known as Spin D. She's very hip. She goes to these techno places and she does stuff and looks really good and wears glitter. We'll have her in a moment. And she's also runs a show called Sundays at 7 at the Irish Arts Center in New York City, which is how I think I first met her. And she is an original Irish lass, so she's going to tell us what it's like to be Irish in America all these years and what brought her here, what made her want to come here, what her vision of America would be like. So she'll join us in just a bit. But first, I'm going to bring on, our professional professor, the official historian of Hanging with Langan, Professor Peter Bales. Before I do, though, I just want to let you know I tried to not blow dry my hair. In fact, didn't try not to. I didn't because it's curly, and I figured, okay, I'll look Irish. But in fact, I look insane, which could also be Irish because there's a lot of that happening too. So, and then you guys, you've been asking me, so nice. I want to take your questions, your comments, anything. I want you. Hi, Kathleen, Mill Valley in the house, Irish friend. Look at this. I look like Medusa screwed buckwheat. Send your calls, your comments, whatever suits you. And also know that you can follow Hanging with Langan. Where, Maureen? If I miss it live, where do I go? Okay, I'll tell you where. You go to patreon.com/Maureen Langan. And you can subscribe and get all the past videos, all the shows that you might have missed, all the videos. You get backstage chats where we dish the dirt. And I'm going to ask Fiona to give me a backstage chat we'll put back there about, maybe her first crazy encounter in America, if you know what I'm saying. So do that at patreon.com, just $5 a month. Or if you want to go, at a higher level, that's how you get the Don't Make Me Hate You t-shirt. Yeah, you do. Or you can go to my website, Maureen Langan. And there's a whole store there. You can get Don't Make Me Hate You t-shirts because you don't want to hate people. They make you hate them. You are a victim. And of course, we always have the old-fashioned way. Just remember, all my shows are free because I'm a giver. They're all free, but you could always pay what you want at Venmo or PayPal at Mo Langan. So, that's what we do for a living these days. I'm going to get a blind dog and sit at a street corner with a tin cup. That's what I'm about to do very soon. So... Hi, Anna Maria. Hello. Oh, if you're watching this on the Hanging with Langan group page, please make sure that you let us see your name if you so desire when you make a comment. How do I do that, Maureen? Oh, it's so simple. You go to StreamYard.com, and then /Facebook. And then I'll know your name because you're making comments here. And I'm like, who is that? I wonder who that is because we love you. Some of you I don't love, but some I tolerate and some I love. So that's how you do that. But listen, Irish in America, I love history, you know that. And I love my best buddy here, the official historian. Give it up, please, for Professor Peter Bales.
Thank you, Maureen. It's great to be on. Listen, we have a hair theme going on here. I woke up this morning. We do not have hot water. And do you know what that means? That means it's been nearly 2 weeks since I washed my hair. That means I have to wear a hat. You gutted it out, and I give you credit for that. I just went with the hat. So please excuse that.
You look very well. You look like you're healthy. You look like you lost weight. And I don't know why you didn't hear about dry shampoo. I don't understand that. But okay.
No, I need dry shampoo. That's amazing.
Yeah, you should do that. I'm putting up Peter Bales, Professor Peter Bales.
That's right.
And
official historian of Hanging with Langan, and I'm ready for anything you're going to throw at me right now.
Let's get to the start of it. The Irish first came when? In mass numbers? The famine?
Mass numbers began to pick up in the 1830s and really mass numbers in the 1840s. And without a doubt, they are fleeing poverty, which was caused mainly by, lots of things, but especially the potato famine. A disease that affected not humans, but the potato, the staple food of Ireland. And it was just absolutely horrible conditions, starvation, let's be honest. The English were not helpful. In fact, many wealthy English used that opportunity to buy property. When people lost their property, Irish people lost their property, English would step in and buy it, foreclosed property. Bitterness from that time period, of course, remains to this day.
But
Right?
they had. So when did the famine start exactly? What years?
Well, there was a potato knish famine in 1987 in Israel, but that's not what you're asking about. The potato famine was I'm not sure exactly the year, but it was a multi-year thing in the 1840s, and it destroyed the staple. I mean,
I
you eat,
do know that, but for the
you eat
masses,
potatoes 3 times a day. It's an Irish tradition. And whereas the staple food of China would be rice, and for France it would be wheat and bread.
and foie gras.
For the
That's how it is. Look at this hair.
yes, yes,
But Peter, the thing what people have to understand why the Irish stereotype of the potato is it's a truth because it would yield the potatoes, a little plot of land could yield a lot of
yes.
potatoes, and that would be your sustenance, and that would be how you could survive and have your 12, 14, 1,800 children. But what I understand before they came to America, like for example, my mother's family owned their land. They never lost their land. So having land is gold in Ireland, particularly in those times.
If you were able to hold on to your land, you were really wealthy. I mean,
whereas my father's family were tenant farmers, which means that they had a little 1 acre. It's so sad to look at the Griffiths valuation that has all the land deeds. Yes. 1 acre on somebody who has multiple hundreds, and then you see who he deeds large lots of it to my beloved son-in-law, James Hugginsworth. That's always a British name. I bequeathed it, and it's like all these masses. And then you see my grandfather, 1 acre. And then I've been back to see the rubble that's left of the house. And it's just such a sad little corner existence. And if you could not.
It's so great that you've been back. But you trace your family's roots, and you know what pushed them to America.
Well, yeah, I just want to finish this thought though. So you see this little shambles, and you realize that if he could not produce enough potatoes to pay that meager rent, that they put you out on the street and said good luck to you, and that from there is where we take it to America, right?
Yes, there were no bankruptcy protections in those days, here or there, and they were pushed. The Irish were pushed, many of them, by poverty over to America, where they landed. Mostly in New York, also a lot in Boston, obviously, in Philadelphia. And they spent their last pennies to get here, and they could go a block off the water in lower Manhattan, and they had no choice. They had to settle in slums, in buildings that rose at the highest 6 stories, because that's the best they could do in those days, going up. And, of course, you get the new word tenement. And they lived in these tenements in horrible, horrible conditions, trying to make it. Their dream of a better life in America was not always a dream realized, because they were met by prejudice and hatred and resentment by quite frankly, the English-based Americans who were already here. And it was such a struggle for the
Irish. Yeah, I thought we starved those people already. What the hell are they doing? They're here already. These Irish people, we can't get rid of them.
The English-based Americans would have been different from the English over in England.
Doesn't matter.
But they were Protestant, and they had attitude that it's hard to relate to today. But they had great attitude and enmity toward the Irish Catholic.
Oh, they did? The ones here, the Puritans?
Yes, they did. Can you believe it? The Puritans were not accepting of a Christianity that was different than their Christianity.
Oh, I thought you said they were. You're being sarcastic. Okay.
No, that I'm saying that the Irish Catholics got so much resentment from the people, from the Protestants already here. And
I want to give a shout out, Peter. Langan is watching in Ireland. Where are you watching from in Ireland, Langan? My father's family is from Westmeath, outside of Mullingar, in a little place called Rathconrath. So that's where he's from. I want to know where you're from. They're not from Mayo. They're from Westmeath. Okay.
Well, so I think finding out that you have a sister that you didn't know about, and you're taking that very calmly.
I have a lot of siblings I do know about. That's what some of them are hard to take calmly. No, I'm kidding. I love them all. Well, my mom's one of 10, but that's Smith, and my father, he's from a big family. I'm watching people's comments here. Okay, so they get here, they're working. What are some of the first jobs they do?
Well, the Irish were discriminated against, and there were signs all over Manhattan, Irish need not apply. And
Mhm.
as we talked about last week, the N word was used equally towards African Americans and the Irish. It's hard to believe, but it's true. It's true. And
Okay, I guess
um,
it's true.
it's true.
All right.
Uh, and and
Hear you.
women were able to get, girls were able to get work as domestics. And this is the time when they are forming the first real fire departments and real police departments, professionalized police departments in big cities like New York, Philadelphia, and Boston. And they didn't pay well. And the Irish were able to get into those jobs. And the Irish tradition in big city in the East police forces that you see in the old movies all the time is
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely true. Every old movie, you walk into a police station, it's Sergeant O'Hara's behind the desk.
Yes.
That's not Hollywood. That's true. That's absolutely. There's still an Irish tradition in the New York City Police Department, and that's what it dates back to. When the post office opens up and hires, not well paid in those days, the Irish were able to establish a big presence there as well.
Peter, question?
Way in the back, Maureen.
Way in the back, chewing, snapping her gum, smart but a wise ass, Maureen Langan. Yes, I like to laugh and watch everything that was going on. So, you and I, Peter and I were on Clubhouse. That's the new
Yes.
social media platform. It's like radio, and you guys, it's even more interactive. Like I'm watching you people in Ashbourne, County Meath. What's your name? Give me your first name, Langan, in County Meath. Clubhouse, you're able to jump in and have a conversation with us. And we were doing this last week, and I'm going to be jumping on right after this show. So with Corey Kahaney, she's a comedian. So it's fun. Join Clubhouse if you can. You need an invite. I don't know. It's a little convoluted, but we're getting there. One of the things I said to you, I know it's east of West Meath, obviously. I'm not a stupid Langan, the one that just came at me. He's telling me, you eat it. The hell is wrong with you? You're good for nothing. All right. I channeled my mother. I'm sorry, West Meath. I channeled my mother. Hi, Joe. Are you okay? I want to connect with Joe.
I looked something up. I wanted to tell you something really cool about the Irish in America.
All right, because then I want to get to puddlers. Go ahead.
Okay, but the Irish kept coming in the 1850s and into the 1860s, and during the Civil War, when the boats came in from Ireland, Union Northern Army recruiters were there, and they would grab the young kids right off the boat from Ireland, put them in the army. And in some of the major battles of the Civil War, units of the Union Army dressed in blue went into battle and fought and died under the flag of Ireland. They carried the flag of Ireland.
Wow. For the Union Army.
I mean, that's just incredible.
It's like goosebumps. It gives you goosebumps. And I told you my father's uncle, Jack Langan, came here from West Meath, next to Meath. And he went into the army and served in the Spanish Civil War and World War I. And I just had a headstone put up for him in Queens.
What? Really?
Yeah, I got his military records, and I put Sergeant First Class. Well, this is what people have to remember. Those people from outside of America come to our country and make it great. It is our country. It's their country.
And something else that should give you goosebumps is, who do you think built the half of the Transcontinental Railroad going from east to west that met in Promontory Point, Utah?
Wow.
Fighting the Indians, fighting the blizzards, fighting the heat, dying to build these tracks through everything. They were young Irish workers who couldn't get any other work. The other, of course, it was Asian American, Chinese American, mostly immigrants coming the other way from the West. It's a bad word now. You can't. They were called coolies. That's a negative word. Let's acknowledge.
Let's not say that then.
The Chinese.
I want to get canceled.
Well, right, but let's also, we should remember both sides. The Asian New Asian Americans who built the transcontinental railroad coming from the west to the east, and the Irish workers coming from the east to the west. A
Where
big
where west meets east, where east meets west.
right. You've seen a lot of movies.
Well, you know what it is too. I was telling Peter this last week, and those who tuning in, we're talking about Irish in America, and even though he is not Irish at all, and probably his ancestors probably killed them and took their land, we're still having him on here because he's smart. That thing is, I just so enjoy. Everybody loves when you're on. I get so many great compliments for the official historian. So I was telling you that when we were chatting last week, that I was doing some genealogy, found a Langan outside of Pittsburgh, in a rural area, who had come over from Ireland in the 1840s or 50s, and he was a puddler. And I'm reading this because I had never heard this word, and I'm thinking, a peddler? What are you peddling in the middle of rural Pennsylvania? You got to go to the Lower East Side of Manhattan with your wares. And it turns out he's what's called a puddler, where you take one kind of metal and you go into this really hot place with flames and you turn it into another kind of metal. I don't know what that is. But their lifespan was the age of 40 because of the soot, the smoke, the heat. And you're thinking, that's a better life than what he had in Ireland.
Well, I bet he was turning iron into steel, because if that's what the time period was.
I imagine.
I think I love stuff like that. I never heard of a puddler before. It's terrific. That's why it's so rewarding to research your roots.
Well, Jeff was saying, Peter, he thought it was the Chinese who did the railroads. But what you're saying, it is. We met halfway, right?
That we wouldn't have had a transcontinental railroad without the Chinese workers. They were the ones doing the dynamite through the Rocky Mountains and suffering great casualties. It was the Chinese, the poor Chinese coming from the west to the east, and the poor Irish coming from the east to the west. Not the owners, who the owners making all the money were. I'm talking about the people who actually made it happen, the workers.
I thought maybe it was Trump's grandparents. So here's our friend. This is interesting. Kathleen says our friend Grania, she's Irish. She was living and moved back to Ireland. She's so funny. She said she saw an Irish need not apply sign in London and thought it was a compliment because Irish were automatically accepted. You don't have to apply. Come on in.
That's funny. That's great. I love that.
But they really had those signs, Irish need not apply. Like they just to them or other.
Well, did you ever see the movie Gangs of New York?
Yes.
Yes. Now, and you remember that movie. It opens in the 1840s, and gangs are fighting, and the Irish gang loses. And then you have the whole movie that ends in the 1860s. And by the 1860s, the Irish outnumber the Anglo-based gang. And the movie ends with the Irish gangs taking over because they've basically taken over Lower Manhattan. And that is just true. I mean, the movie was not historically accurate. The Union Army never bombed Lower Manhattan during a riot. But I thought they caught the flavor of the time and the gang warfare. Gangs of New York, highly recommended. Leonardo DiCaprio was the leader of the Irish gang, and he was okay. He wasn't, there they are, let's get that. I thought that was a little bit, he wasn't sort of tough enough. But I highly recommend to your listeners and watchers the movie The Gangs of New York, for the spirit of the Irish conflict against the Anglo-based Americans who are already here. And I'll tell you something, Maureen.
Oh, yeah, please.
I'm going to tell you something right now.
Dreaming out the window like in school. And that, okay, yes, Professor.
What do we learn? What did we learn?
We learned that I have a cousin named Joe in County Meath, and I'm pronouncing Meath right, which makes him happy.
I love this. I love this. I love that you have Irish people watching this show.
I do too.
But the Anglo-based Americans did not welcome the Irish into this country.
Yeah.
But Maureen,
what, Peter?
In the 1870s, when the Italians started to come over,
those people, those people with their good food.
See, when the Italians came over in large numbers in the 1870s, did the Irish learn from their experience being discriminated against? And did the Irish welcome the Italians into this country?
No, I've welcomed in my own life, but not everybody can do that.
Well, and look at every immigrant group that comes to this country. There isn't one that's been welcomed.
No, it's so ridiculous. It's so insane. And I love hearing, I heard an Irish person that I know say, I don't know why these people have to come to the border. Why don't they just fill out their paperwork and wait till they get their answer? I said, I don't know. How about when the Irish people are starving and flocking in threadbare clothing going, why don't you just send a carrier pigeon or a smoke signal and wait till you get a response before you head overseas in your coffin ships? What the hell is wrong with, pardon me. Excuse me, I have to take a little commercial break.
I'm just glad I hit a nerve. I hit a nerve with you.
Well, you do hit a nerve because I don't understand this. The Statue of Liberty, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, not your rich pieces of entitled shit that know Trump better than anyone else. And I like rich, entitled people. Hey, come on, hang out with me. I could use a sugar daddy, mama. I'm into that. I'm just saying that it's so disgusting. It's so disgusting that we don't treat people with the humanity that they deserve. I mean, anyway, here's the deal, you guys. Hear ye. Peter, stand by, please. I'll bring you right back. What I want to let you folks know is I can't bring you this great content. All shows are free, but if we also do and by we I mean me, a pay as you can, if you can, donation at paypal.me/Mo Langan, Venmo at Mo Langan, and that goes a long way to supporting the show and hiring these tech people and social media. You have no idea. You have no idea. It's insane. And also you can go to patreon.com, and that's really cool because you get goodies at different levels. It's a lot of fun. Like if you come in at the Carol Burnett level, $5 a month, access to all the videos. Those are not accessible except for there. And we are on all the major audio platforms, Apple, Spotify, what have you. Dolly Parton, $10, you get bonus episodes, tons of fun. And then at the Phyllis Diller level, you'll get a Don't Make Me Hate You t-shirt because you don't want to hate people. They make you hate them. And we go all the way up, don't think we don't, up to the Joan Rivers level where I'll do corporate coaching for you. We'll put comedy shows together, whatever you need. Go to MaureenLangan.com if you want to get a t-shirt or go to Patreon or go anywhere. I don't care. Just we're keeping these shows going for you, and I'm really excited about that. What I'm going to do is bring back Peter, and then we're going to invite my buddy, Fiona Walsh. She's a DJ, and she's Irish, and she's really cool. Okay, hold on. Oh, look, there you are, Peter. Hi.
Hi, I'm back.
Somebody was saying people have nice, the Irish welcomed Italians into Ireland in the 19th century, and we still have a large community here that are involved in basically fast food like fish and chips, frasca, macari, I guess macaroni, and the families, the frasca, macari, and cafola families. That's my cousin Joe in West County Meath, not Westmeath, but they're next to each other.
That's great.
Well, I like this.
Ireland has a large or medium Italian community. That's a fascinating thing to know. I didn't know that.
Well, he said they welcomed them in the 19th century. I'd like to know more about that, Joe. Your sources, please.com. It's interesting because we were talking about this, Peter. You know, the Irish people come and take whatever jobs they can get when they come to America. And my grandparents, my father's parents, 6th and 8th grade educations, which I only found out through the genealogy, even though I knew, and of course, then you got to go work the farm. And 8th grade was probably pretty good for my grandmother.
Yeah.
So my grandfather's a longshoreman. And my father, he doesn't finish high school, but he couldn't get in on the fire department because he didn't have 20/20 vision in one eye. This hulking 6'2", 210-pound guy. Today, he could have been a blind midget. I don't know if you're allowed to say midget. Anyway, I'm sorry, don't cancel me. So he got into sanitation, and his family was so proud because he had a civil servant job where he could have the union benefits. And then his 6 kids go to state schools, which we all did, colleges, and now their kids are going to opportunity and even better colleges. So that to me is totally the American trajectory as it should be. And that's why education has to be affordable and we have to treat people decently. So where do you see the Irish in our culture today? Like how would you, from the days they got here to now? Oh, what's the what party? That crazy party?
The Know Nothing Party.
Tell me about those.
The Know Nothing Party was also known as the American Party, ironically, because what they believed was the most anti-American thing of all. But they were opposed to immigrants like the Irish and also the Germans, believe it or not. The Germans came over the same time the Irish did. And the Germans have a different situation. They're fleeing political unrest, not poverty. So the Germans come over at the same time the Irish do, but the Germans have enough money to push out to the West, which today we call the Midwest, and establish model farms and successful businesses in the Midwest. And it's no coincidence that the American beer industry is centered in the Midwest.
Oh,
Milwaukee, of course.
yes.
Is there a more German word than Budweiser? So the
Budweiser. I thought
Budweiser,
wasn't it Czech? I thought it was Czech. Okay, go ahead.
but the experience for the Germans uh, was also uh, quite different, I should say, from the Irish, because the Irish were poor. They could go a block into a slum in New York, and the Germans pushed out and established incredible communities in the Midwest, like Milwaukee, Chicago, and St. Louis, places like that, Detroit as well.
Huh. I
So,
wonder if I can. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm just saying it's the different experience of the Irish and the German, but the Know Nothing Party that you asked about. A lot of the Germans can be both Protestant and Catholic, depending upon the situation and the religious wars for them. But the Know Nothing Party was against immigrants and against Catholics, and very prejudiced, and a part of that mid-century reaction. And that's when we first used the word nativist. A nativist is someone who hates immigrants, no questions asked. And the Know Nothing Party is a party of nativists that eventually, I'm hoping this happens, they eventually disgraced themselves. They became socially unacceptable, extremists, somebody you'd look down. I'm hoping, that happens to our current day Know Nothing party that darn well what I'm alluding to.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. My guest is Professor Peter Bales. He's the official historian of Hanging with Langan. He's my friend. He's also a comedian. We've worked together. He cracks me up. We have a great time. I'm going to bring in to join us my Irish friend living here in America now. She's American too now. Fiona Walsh. She's a DJ. But first, I want to just shout out a couple of your. I'm going to see if I can reach this Irish dude who's been commenting a lot about being of Italian descent, growing up in Ireland. So I'm going to send him a quick, hold on, you guys. Maureen Langan's working on all this. It's very, I'm a one-man band.
He's Irish of Italian descent.
He's the fella who's been chiming in here on us. So let me just see. It's, okay, I won't say it out loud. Gmail, okay. I'm going to send him an email and see if he can join us from Ireland, right?
Oh, that's cool.
I'm going to see. This is in the moment, you folks. This is where I'm so connected to humanity. It just comes to me as a gift. I
want to hear a combination. I want to hear a combination Irish-Italian accent.
Let's see. It's okay. Hey, Joe, join here if you can. But if you seem like really weird and a stalker, I'm not bringing you on. Okay. I just sent him the invite. So let's bring in, I know I'm all over the place, but it's kind of fun, seeing what people are writing. And Joey Novak gives you a big shout out, Peter, another comedian. Hello, Miss Molly. Hello to David Gilbert and Jim Clevefield. Again, so we're going to bring in Fiona. And you guys, if you want to keep these shows coming, PayPal or Venmo. So we know her. She runs the Irish Arts Center, great comedy night once a month with, musicians, artists, all kinds of cool people. It's been on hiatus during the typhoid fever of our lives that is now. But ladies and gentlemen, please, she's a DJ. She's an actress. She is originally from Roscrea, County something. Fiona Walsh. Hello, Fiona.
Maureen, County something.
County something. County something, DJ.
Tipperary, girl, get it out of your mouth. County Tipperary.
Well, we were hanging last week, and I just think because you were raised in Ireland and then you wanted to come here, I thought I'm playing around with the screen sizes, you guys.
Do it.
Talk to me about what made you want to come to America?
Well, first of all, if I can digress for a moment,
please.
Your friend there that was talking about that he's of Irish Italian descent.
Yes.
A lot of the fish and chip the best fish and chip shops in Ireland are owned by Italians and Italian Americans.
That's what he just
Italian
said.
Irish people. Sorry.
That's what he was typing. That's why I'm
Yeah.
like, get your ass in here.
Exactly. So there's like in my hometown there would have been Fusco and there's Vaza. They're two very well-known fish and chip shops in like the best in Roscrea, owned by Italian Irish people. So that's probably something that not everybody knows, but most of the best chip shops in Ireland are. I can see your hand up there, Langan. Hang on a minute. I just want to finish.
That's why I raised my hand. I get excited.
My Irish Italians. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Maureen. Sorry.
Because on that note, we have an Irish, I think he's of Italian descent, with my last name, happening to have been watching the show, coming to us from, I believe, 13 miles north of Dublin. Is that Port Marnock? I think not that far up. I don't know. But let's welcome, ladies and gentlemen, my long-lost 15th cousin, I bet. This is insane. I'm having so much fun. All right. Joe Langan in the house.
Hi. How you doing?
Who the hell are you?
Yes. Well, I'm Joe Langan. Yeah, well, my Langans are from Mayo. But I grew up in Ashburn, which is not too far from Portmarnock. But yeah,
Ashburn County Meath.
That's right. Yeah,
Interact.
Well, Fiona will know that this is where potatoes are made and Tato Park.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Tato Park.
So we're basically the crisp capital of Ireland. So if you want potato chips from Ireland, you come here.
And where's here? Where are we going?
Sorry, Ashburn.
Ashburn County Meath.
Ashburn County Meath, yeah.
Meath. That's next to Westmeath, Joe. In case it's like they're close.
Yeah, on the absolute opposite end of it. But yeah.
Did you guys know each other? Did you know Sean? I'm kidding. So. All right. So okay, I'm going to get back to Fiona, but Joe. So what do you do?
I work for a government agency. Which monitors what Irish Americans are at. No, it's a transport agency. Yeah, so I just a civil servant basically.
Well, that not just a civil servant. That is a proud job. That's a hard work.
Yeah.
Please, that's good. Shout out.
I'm in my office right now.
So, Joe, how did you find us?
I subscribed to you ages ago and I got an alert on my phone. That was all it was. Yeah. But no, I've always just interested in other Langans. That's all it is. I'm just really nosy about where Langans went to after they left here. So I'm.
There's a lot of them, and you're not going to get the short shaft, Fiona. I promise you.
That's all right.
She's such a good sport. Our Langans are from Westmeath. I told you that, but they came to New York, the Bronx, Queens. Some went out to Long Island, but there's a large number of Langans who went to Pennsylvania, Scranton.
Yeah, Scranton. I've heard that. Yeah.
Which is about 2 hours outside of Manhattan. So there's a lot there. But do you think at one point our names were all connected? I mean, they're connected, but do you think that we were related at some point?
Well, what I've looked up about the name is that it originally came from somewhere around Ulster, as in Armagh or somewhere like that. And at some point, there was some push towards the west, which may have been Cromwell. I don't know what it was. But it suddenly became more associated with the western seaboard. The legend in my dad's hometown of Ballycastle, County Mayo, which is Langan Central, by the way, if you ever have to go there.
Ballycastle?
Ballycastle, yeah. So there's, if you just look up there, actually, it's a good one. Look up Downpatrick Head. It's a sea stack off the coast of North Mayo.
I've been there. Hello, been there. Okay.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, there are more Langans per square mile there than anywhere else I can think of.
I wonder they didn't greet me and open the door. They're like, oh, there she is.
But the legend there is that they only go back 200 or 300 years there because it was originally 5 brothers who came from Donegal to build a bridge somewhere, and they all settled and intermarried, and there's all sorts of different Langan families that are not related. And to suggest they're related is to suggest that people have been joining the family tree up in ways they shouldn't have. But yeah, it's really interesting. But the legend anyway is that basically they're only in Mayo, they're only blow-ins, so only around 300 years there. So yeah.
Well, our Langans go back. I've gotten back to the 1700s in Westmeath, so I'm sure they've been there for quite a while. But I also was told it meant like long shipperman or long sailor.
Yes. There's a couple of different, Lungon. So yeah, it could be long persons, tall one, all sorts of things. But ship is also, as you say, lung. So it could be ship person. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to.
Even a shit person and they misspelled it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's also one of
This
those
is
things as
great.
well where some idiot wrote down the name you go in Irish, and some of them were translated into English as Lenihan, some of them were translated in English as Lanigan. Actually, sorry, no, Lanigan is a totally different name, but some of it is Lenihan, some of it is Langan, some of it is Lang. You get a lot of Langs, which are ultimately related to the same thing.
This is so cool, Joe. It's nice to meet you. I think it's great you jumped on here. What Maureen is not telling you is that she finds most of her relatives in this country by searching prison records.
Well, I did look at a lot of the petty session court records from Westmeath, and there was a lot of bar brawls going on in Mullingar. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
A lot of dog
It's funny,
tags.
actually. I found someone with my exact name in my town, in Ashburn, in a census in 18 something as well. So they were obviously around here as well. So there's definitely strong roots somewhere on the eastern seaboard. And North County Dublin, the real rural part of North County Dublin, where they grow a lot of potatoes. There would be mangans there too. So they're probably spud farmers.
So now Fiona was saying what you were saying, Fiona, that you were saying that I don't know about this Italian population that came to Ireland. So Fiona, you start with you guys. Let's talk about that.
Well, that's just that they often, many of them in Ireland, run the best chip shops in Ireland, which you would think would be, Irish fish and chips or British fish and chips. You would think would be run by. But it's actually our Italians that moved to Ireland who open most of the chip shops in Ireland. Yeah.
Joe,
That's
if you get a craving for chicken parmesan and spaghetti, do you have somewhere to go in your town at night?
I didn't even have pasta until I was about 18 years of age.
Really?
Yeah. No pasta for me. Mum was a meat and two veg kind of person growing up. Most Irish families were.
I'm just curious as to what brought the Italians to Ireland and where they first went. That's interesting to me.
I think it was some of it was the story goes that some of it was Italians getting off the boat too early in Cork, getting a bit too eager, and being fooled into thinking they'd arrived in New York and making the most of it.
They didn't have a good sense of timing, huh? I mean,
yeah, but the thing, sorry, you were asking where I get some chicken parmesan in my town. The funny thing is, they wouldn't have a great history of actually making Italian food in Ireland, but the one in our town, we have San Remo, which is run by the Frasca family, and San Remo have a spin-off pizza and pasta joint beside it, but that's run by an Albanian guy. So it's actually it's not even Italians running that either.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. So it's Albanian Italian food that we get here. But yeah, it's lovely. It's really good.
This is insane. For those of you just tuning in, Maureen Langan, Hanging with Langan with Peter Bales, the official historian of Hanging with Langan, and my buddy, she's a DJ, Spin D, Fiona Walsh, and we're going to get to dabbing with her more. And this guy that we don't know, he just happens to watch Hanging with Langan. He happens to live 13 miles north of Dublin in Ashburn, I believe you said is the name of it. He had chosen the same last name, and he was commenting. So I said, well, Joe Langan, come on. You're the next contestant on a bunch of lunches. And here we are, you guys. This is how it works. This is about connecting. Anyway, so Joe, that was really cool that you joined in. I really appreciate it.
Cool, no problem.
Good sport. Good sport. And tell them that you found a relative who was like so stunningly beautiful and that the rest got the recessive genes. Just say something. Yeah. Take care, Joe. All the best. Appreciate you.
Hey, nice to meet you, man. That was great.
How freaking cool was that?
That's very fun that you're able to just drag somebody on quickly from across the ocean. It's great.
Well, I don't know how quick it was, but you know what? Or easy, but I do love that. Like, we're just somebody's watching and you get to say, come on in. And he was a good sport.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Great fun.
Now, Fiona, tell us. We got to you about how fun was that? Yes, it was. Thank you, Molly.
It was.
Yeah, somebody just wrote that. All right, let's get back to you, darling. Let's talk about you. I love that you did a show called Big White American Teeth.
Great White American Teeth.
She did a one-person show called Great White American Teeth, one of the best solo shows I've ever seen. There was glitter. There were strobe lights. There was, I think, Warren Beatty. There was a lot going on.
Yeah.
Tell people what that show was about and why you did it, what it meant to you.
Well, the short of it is, it was just about my journey of growing up in Ireland and being obsessed with all things American, but particularly TV, movie stars, music. And, you know, having a dream as a young Irish girl wanting to live in New York, and that journey in a, you know, dramatic license sort of way, told in 60 minutes on stage. So the title of the show was actually given to me or suggested to me by my director, Virginia Scott, and she was like, what was, you know, she said, because the show talks about my obsession with Warren Beatty. I mean, I don't know what 10-year-old girl was obsessed with Warren Beatty growing up, but I loved him. And she was like, well, the show should be about, you know, not just coming to America or something that epitomizes your love of America. And then so for me, it sort of was like beautiful teeth, tan, sun. And so that's where the title came from, Great White American Teeth. Yeah.
And so it's such a good show. I hope you bring it back at some point. It was so entertaining.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a million. See, that's the whole thing. What do you guys think? I mean, what do you think about like the stereotypes? What do you think they are that Americans have about Irish people?
I mean,
somebody held up a glass of whiskey before. Hold it up again.
No. Now, in fairness, it's just it's a light beer, Peter. It's a light beer. It's too early for whiskey.
Okay.
Another hour. Maybe.
Just saying. I saw it. You thought I didn't see it. I saw it.
I know. I know. I saw you knowing that I took the glass.
Well, you want to address that number one stereotype? Is it?
Yeah. I mean, of course, it's a kind. I don't think we drink any more than other nations, but I think we're more. Maybe we're more gregarious when we drink. We're more into like. Some stereotypes maybe are true. Can I say that? And like, if you get a lock-in a bar with a bunch of Irish people, the probability is you'll be there till 4 o'clock in the morning, and you'll have made 10 friends. Some of you, mostly people you don't know, and I think we're just more. We just love talking because it's a small country. The pub was the hub of, you know, where people met and mingled and chatted and connected with people, and that was the pub still serves as a sort of, did prior to COVID, a sort of social hub, and that became associated with drinking. And so I think maybe it comes from maybe pub culture rather than just the love of alcohol, which, you know, is a separate thing. But I think it does come a little bit from pub culture, and that carries over wherever we go. The sort of, let's go to a bar and sit around a table and swap stories, kind of like what we're doing, but in a bar, you know.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
without alcohol.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting, because there was a group of people called, I believe, the Pioneers. You took an oath not to drink, and my mother took that as a teenager. It's, you know, I guess all girls and boys had to do that at around 13. But she was not in a pub until she got off the boat from in America. Her cousin was a newspaperman. He was for the Daily News. And he got his press pass, and because she was Smith near the end of the line, it was alphabetical, he got her out of the line early. They went off to lunch with, you know, whoever was greeting her, and she's like, I've never been in a pub in my life. She's like, she'd never had a drink in Ireland. It was so amazing.
Yeah.
And then the following week, she went out for Chinese food, and, you know, she wanted tea because she's Irish. She'll have some tea. And they give her the teacup, you know, but they go,
yeah.
Could I have a teacup with a handle? Anyway, those are my stories.
That's great.
Funny.
Well, listen, is it true? I want to ask you both. When you go to the beach, do you have to have sunblock 3000?
Well, apparently there's some Spanish in my blood way back on my dad's side. So I actually have kind of sallow skin, but yes, we do tend to burn a little. We get a little crispy in the summer, don't you know?
It's funny that you use that word sallow. Well, I burn. I mean, I'm just like so white. But my sister, she has a little, we don't know how, she has a little more pigment. And our cousins were over from Ireland. They're like, oh, you're so fair. Oh, you're just like a Smith. Oh, you're just like a Langan. Oh, they look at Anne. Oh, and you. Oh, you're so sallow.
It's a great word. It just covers all kind of not white pigmentation back in Ireland. Sallow was a great word.
It could also mean
Sallow.
peaked
I
or
don't
more
even
cute.
know sallow. Mad.
Oh, Danny McKenna. Here we go.
Oh no.
He says we drink to make other people interesting.
Oh, good man, Danny.
Or at least to
Probably not
endure
wrong.
them. Even to endure them. So what are you doing with your DJing now, Fiona Walsh?
Well, I'm in tandem with acting and producing and writing. I had always been a big lover of music, and particularly dance music. Like, so I grew up
Not
buying.
Irish dance. You're talking.
But I did that too. But mostly the music I like to listen to was, you know, African American soul music, like R&B, disco, hip hop, all that stuff. And I loved dancing. I love going out and clubbing, and you know, that was a big motivation for me to learn a little bit more about putting the music together. Go on, Peter.
I have a question for you. I hope it's not a dumb question, and I'm very interested in this. Comedy clubs in Ireland, the comedy scene in Ireland, the stand-up scene, I really have no idea what's going on.
Well, I mean, I haven't lived at home for a long time, but I have performed in Ireland. But there's a thriving comedy scene, for sure there is. As there is a tech. I mean, I mostly DJ techno music, so there's actually a thriving techno scene in Ireland too. I mean, this is all prior to COVID, of course, but
Right, but did you find Irish audiences different from American audiences?
oh yes.
How
Yeah.
so, Fiona?
I think Irish audiences, from my limited experience, I haven't done loads of gigs. I did the Galway Comedy Festival. I performed at the International in Dublin a couple of times.
Yeah.
But you have to work to make them laugh. They don't laugh as easily, I think, as some American audiences. What do you think about that, Maureen? Do you feel like you have to work a little harder for your laughs over there?
I think what I found, and again, some people say, Maureen, you've been at good gigs, you know, same thing with Scotland. People are like, yeah, but you haven't had the shit gigs here. So I've done the Roisin Dubh in Galway several times, the Galway Festival like you, and I've done Dublin a number of times, and Belfast. That was a hard gig. Whoa. But it was in an old church converted to a comedy club with people eating like up in the upper altar. And you're like, what's happening? Where am I? The whole thing was just, but it was just such an awkward setup. But I found them to be smart and really appreciate wit.
Oh, yeah.
I found that they didn't love this. They don't, not that I just do. Hear some of this over the top. Hey, I got my big swinging dick and I this, you know, and then they call, hey, the bitch I used to be married to, or with worse names, you know, those things. I found them to be smarter and really engaged.
Yeah.
And wanting to hear how the mind works. I found.
And I think that ties into the fact that you can't just pull out your maybe less cerebral jokes. You have to work. You have to be smart with your comedy in Ireland. That's
cerebral. That's a good one. They appreciate.
Well, no, that's the word of the day, Maureen.
Yes, sallow and cerebral.
Sallow and cerebral. There you go.
But I find that a lot of the comics too, Peter, that I know, I was just on a comedy show in outside of London. It's fun because you meet these comics you've met around and you're doing these international shows. But a number of them leave Ireland so that they're more in a hub like London.
Yeah. Okay.
You know?
Are Irish audiences welcoming to American comics that come over there to do shows?
I think so. Yeah, I think
I thought they were wonderful. I thought they were so appreciative and wonderful.
Yeah, really good.
Okay.
Nice vibes. But getting back anyway to the thing,
Please.
the techno, because I love talking about techno.
Yes, DJ Spin D.
I kind of got into it out of clubbing. So I used to go out to all these parties around New York, various clubs for this particular kind of music. And as a result, then I became involved or interested in learning how to DJ it as well. And then over the last few years, you know, I've had loads of different gigs. I played for the Irish government for Gay Pride 2 years in a row for the Gay Pride Parade here in New York. And I've played in Detroit. I've actually played in Ireland as well. And I'd love to play in Ireland again. It's such a great vibe playing for Irish audiences. It was one of the top gigs I've had too. And then, so that's kind of what I've been doing. And then over the last year since COVID, just trying to keep keep artistically interesting by doing streams. And I don't produce, I just play. A lot of DJs make music as well as playing it and DJing it, but I am a DJ, I don't produce as well.
Well, how do people follow you?
They can follow me on Facebook on Spin D Official, and I actually became a member just around Christmas of a great female DJ collective called Siren Project.
What's it called? SIREN?
SIREN. Siren Project.
Siren, cerebral, and sour.
Yes, it's 3 S words or S sounds. And we do streams on Twitch, and we raise money for causes that are close to our heart. So this Saturday I'm doing a stream with a bunch of other female DJs for Safe Horizons, which is raising money for victims of domestic abuse. And so you can follow us on twitch.com/Siren Project. And that'll be streaming on Saturday afternoon from 1 o'clock or 1:30 p.m.
It's going to be twitch.com/
Siren Project.
So you know what? You said one thing before Siren Project. Here we go. I'm going to save that and have that so they can see that. You said that you played in America for the Irish Gay Pride.
Well, no, for the New York Pride Parade in 2018, and then in 2019 for World Pride. So the Irish government had a float in the parade for the first time in 2018, and I was the DJ on the float. So we, did 3 hours of a drive down 6th Avenue to all around, Christopher Street and back up. It was amazing. And then
that shows you how far Ireland and the Irish have come.
Well, truthfully, and also because we were one of the first countries to, ratify and allow gay marriage, and we've become very, very progressive. And maybe there's a little bit of what's the word? I'm trying to think of the idea behind Ireland being still in the dark ages is long gone. We're a very modern, very progressive country, and that was signified by our ratifying of gay marriage, whenever it was.
Yes, good.
Right.
Good stuff.
Well, it's interesting because they didn't want gays marching in the St. Patrick's Day parade, and now they're like, "Hey, here's our float. Get on it, Fiona, and make some music for the people."
Yeah.
I think it's very cool.
Very, very open-minded people.
It's cool, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome, says Charlotte. All right. So, Peter, when are you getting back to business with teaching? What's going on with all of that?
I'm teaching online, and fall is up in the air right now. We're not sure what's happening for the fall, but you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, definitely.
All right. And for those of you who happen to follow Peter at Facebook, Peter Bales.
Follow me on Facebook, and I'm plugging. See, Fiona, she's got these great causes, and I'm plugging a podcast. We're raising money for Prickly Heat. No, so we have a page on Facebook called Bitchin' Baby Boomers, and we're baby boomers, and we get together and remember fondly our youth, because boomers love to look back. So Bitchin' Baby Boomers, check out our page on Facebook. We've got a podcast that's a lot of fun. So that's where I'm at.
I'm glad you're doing that. And you guys, I'm going to jump over onto Clubhouse. And if you're not a member, finagle yourself an invite. I have a few that I can share. It's a really cool platform. I'm going to check that out. I'm going to bounce over there. And you know what? Look, this is what I do. I bring you great guests like this. And if you want to support the show, PayPal, Venmo, or Patreon. All shows are free, but pay what you can if you'd like. And it all goes to keeping us all afloat in these insane times. You know what? You guys are so awesome. This was a little loosey-goosey, this show, but I had so much fun with the two of you.
Your skill with technology is astounding. I'm moved. I'm deeply moved that you got this up and running with it.
I'm gonna I'll rip your face off. I'm just gonna come over there and rip your big white American teeth out of your freaking head.
Fiona, in honor of you, I'm gonna go have a really serious drink after this show.
Good man, Peter. Never let it be said. May the road rise to with you and all that.
That's wonderful.
Chip, bully.
An old Irish. Yes.
Thank all of you for tuning in next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. Got some cool people joining me, but I'll promote that and you'll see that. Follow me at Maureen Langan. You know the deal. Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, David. A lot of cool people watching today. All right, and you know the deal, you guys. Until we meet again.
I was 18 years old when I set foot in Dublin with a fistful of money and a cartload of dreams. Can you not let that show be the song for your show? I don't know. Bye.
Bye, Wig.